Edward Miller laughed heartily beside his broken Mercedes. "A mechanic nun? Go pray at the monastery." He scoffed when Sister Beatrice offered to help. She took the tools with steady, determined hands. The perfect purr of the engine froze the smirk on his face forever. Sister Beatrice Hayes walked through the bustling downtown streets when she heard the distinctive sputter of a failing engine. Her steps naturally gravitated towards the sound, an automatic reaction developed over years of studying engineering. Her religious habits swayed gently as she approached the scene unfolding on the main avenue. Edward Miller stood beside his silver Mercedes-Benz, his face red with irritation as he yelled into his phone. The 45-year-old businessman, owner of one of the largest dealerships in the state, couldn't accept that his $200,000 car had left him stranded precisely when he most needed to get to an important meeting. His impeccable designer suit contrasted with his furious expression as he gesticulated wildly. The nun observed the scene for a few moments, noting the telltale signs of the problem. Smoke billowed from the hood. There was a characteristic smell of overheating, and the engine made an irregular sound before finally falling completely silent. Her years of study at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, had taught her to identify these symptoms with surgical precision. Edward ended the call with a curse and forcefully kicked the front tire, drawing curious glances from passers-by. Some stopped to observe the embarrassing spectacle of a well-dressed man completely losing his composure in public. The businessman looked around desperately, searching for a solution to his dilemma. It was then that Sister Beatrice approached with determined steps. Her soft voice cut through the tense air as she said she could help him with the vehicle's problem. Edward turned abruptly, his eyes scanning the figure of the nun who had materialized beside him like an unexpected apparition. The contrast between the two was striking. On one side, a businessman accustomed to commanding and being obeyed, wearing expensive clothes and flaunting status symbols that cost more than many people's annual salaries. On the other, a simple woman, dressed in the traditional habit of the Carmelite sisters, without any adornment or sign of material wealth. Edward's initial reaction was one of complete disbelief. He had spent his entire life surrounded by specialized mechanics, renowned engineers, and technicians with decades of experience. The idea that a nun could even comprehend the basic functioning of a modern engine seemed to him absurd beyond any reasonable measure. Sister Beatrice maintained her serene expression as she explained that she had noticed the signs of engine overheating and that it was likely a problem with the cooling system. Her precise technical words surprised Edward momentarily, but he soon regained his usual arrogance. The businessman began to laugh uncontrollably, a guffaw that echoed down the street and made several people stop to observe the unusual scene. He pointed at Sister Beatrice as if she were a circus curiosity, commenting loudly on the absurdity of the situation. Edward's words were sharp and prejudiced. He suggested she should return to the monastery and dedicate herself to prayers, leaving technical matters to truly qualified individuals. The condescending tone in his voice revealed years of privilege and a distorted view of people's worth based solely on external appearances. Sister Beatrice remained impassive in the face of the provocations. Her experience in the monastery had taught her the importance of patience and understanding, even when confronted with rudeness and disrespect. She knew that behind Edward's arrogance lay an insecure man, accustomed to using his social position as a shield against his own limitations. The crowd forming around them began to murmur amongst themselves, some defending the nun and others laughing along with the businessman. The atmosphere became charged with tension as the two stood still, each representing completely different worlds that had met at that crucial moment. Edward Miller's contempt intensified when he realized the nun would not back down from his provocations. The businessman was accustomed to intimidating people with his social position and wealth, but he found in Sister Beatrice a disconcerting serenity that irritated him even more deeply. Edward began making increasingly sarcastic comments about the situation. He said he didn't need help from someone who had chosen to live isolated from the real world, far from technological advancements and the complexities of modern life. His words carried the weight of years of ingrained prejudice against people he considered intellectually inferior. The crowd that had gathered around the scene was divided between those who found humor in the situation and others who felt uncomfortable with the disrespectful treatment Edward was giving the nun. Some whispered among themselves about the businessman's lack of manners, while others recorded videos on their cell phones. Sister Beatrice observed Edward with a look that blended compassion and determination. She had faced similar situations during her years in the monastery, when people questioned her life choice or underestimated her intellectual capacity. Experience had taught her that the best response to ignorance is not words, but concrete actions. The businessman continued his humiliating performance, even suggesting that the nun should find a public phone to call a real mechanic. He emphasized that he had no time to waste with religious jokes and that he needed a real solution to his problem, not prayers or improbable miracles. Edward commented on the years he had spent in the automotive business, mentioning that he personally knew the best mechanics and engineers in the country. He said he would never allow anyone without technical qualifications to touch his luxury vehicle, especially someone who had dedicated her life to activities he considered unproductive. The businessman's arrogance manifested when he began to condescendingly explain how his Mercedes engine worked, using technical terms incorrectly and demonstrating a superficial understanding of automotive systems. His attempt to impress the audience only revealed his true knowledge limitations. Sister Beatrice patiently listened to Edward's mistaken explanations, noting the various conceptual errors in his statements. She could have corrected every technical inaccuracy he mentioned, but she chose to maintain her respectful demeanor and await the appropriate moment to act. Edward's behavior began to annoy some of the more sensible passers-by, who realized he was being unnecessarily cruel to someone who was only trying to help. Some voices in the crowd began to discreetly speak out against the businessman's attitude, creating a palpable tension in the atmosphere. Edward realized he was losing the sympathy of part of the audience and tried to justify his behavior by explaining the importance of his business meeting. He said he couldn't risk an amateur causing even greater damage to his vehicle, as that would result in significant financial losses. The nun remained silent throughout Edward's arrogant monologue, her hands serenely clasped as she waited for him to finish his display of pompousness. Her eyes discreetly observed the technical details of the vehicle, identifying visual clues that confirmed her initial diagnosis of the problem. When Edward finally finished his provocations, Sister Beatrice stepped forward and calmly repeated her offer of help. She explained that she didn't intend to force her assistance, but that she was genuinely willing to solve the problem quickly and efficiently. Her voice maintained the same respectful tone from the beginning, without any trace of irritation or resentment. The businessman looked at her with an expression of complete incredulity, as if he couldn't believe she still insisted on her absurd proposal. He shook his head dramatically and said he would rather wait hours for a tow truck than accept help from someone completely unqualified for the task. Sister Beatrice's determination remained unshaken in the face of all the humiliations Edward had directed against her. Her life experience had taught her that perseverance and compassion were essential virtues, especially when confronted with people acting out of pride and ignorance. The nun approached the Mercedes hood and pointed to the visible signs that indicated the nature of the problem. She mentioned the specific color of the smoke she had observed, the temperature pattern the engine exhibited, and the characteristic sounds that preceded the complete breakdown. Her observations were precise and technical, surprising some of the more attentive spectators. Edward tried to interrupt Sister Beatrice's explanations, insisting that she didn't have enough knowledge to make precise diagnoses. He said that the signs she had mentioned could indicate dozens of different problems, and that only a specialist with appropriate equipment could determine the real cause of the failure. The nun patiently listened to the businessman's objections and then began to explain the functioning of modern engine cooling systems. She described how the coolant circulates through the engine, the radiator's function in dissipating heat, and the crucial role of the water pump in the entire process. Her words revealed a deep understanding of the principles of thermal engineering. The crowd began to pay more attention to Sister Beatrice's words, realizing that she demonstrated knowledge far beyond what would be expected from someone in her position. Some of those present began to internally question the prejudices they had formed, based solely on the nun's appearance. Edward became visibly uncomfortable when he realized that Sister Beatrice spoke about engineering with a fluency he himself did not possess. His strategy shifted to questioning how a religious person had acquired technical knowledge, suggesting it was superficial information obtained from casual conversations or basic readings. The nun calmly explained that before pursuing her religious vocation, she had studied and worked in areas related to mechanical engineering. She mentioned that her decision to dedicate herself to religious life had not erased the technical knowledge she had acquired over years of intensive study and professional practice. Edward gave a forced laugh and said that many people claim to have engineering experience without actually possessing formal qualifications. He demanded that she prove her academic credentials before he would consider allowing her to touch his luxury vehicle. Sister Beatrice replied that she did not carry diplomas or certificates with her during her walks around the city, but that she was willing to demonstrate her knowledge through practical actions. She explained that theory and practice were equally important in solving complex mechanical problems. The nun's determination to help, even facing so much resistance and disrespect, began to impress some of the more observant passers-by. They realized that a person motivated solely by goodwill would not insist so much in such an embarrassing situation unless she truly knew what she was doing. Edward tried a new approach, questioning why a person with technical training would choose to abandon a promising career to dedicate herself to religious life. He suggested that only people who had failed professionally would seek refuge in monasteries, attempting to further discredit Sister Beatrice. The nun explained that her decision to follow a religious vocation had been a conscious and mature choice, based on her personal values and her desire to serve others. She said she did not consider her previous life a failure, but rather a valuable preparation for her current mission of helping those in need. The businessman shook his head disdainfully and said he didn't believe in genuine religious conversions, especially when they involved people with university degrees. He claimed that she had probably invented the whole story about technical knowledge to impress naive people and gain social credibility. Sister Beatrice maintained her serene demeanor and said she understood Edward's skepticism. She explained that she didn't intend to convince him about her personal journey, but merely to offer a practical solution to the problem he was currently facing. The story of Sister Beatrice Hayes began long before she donned the religious habit that now identified her. Born into a middle-class family in Boston, Massachusetts, she always demonstrated an insatiable curiosity to understand how things worked. From a young age, she would dismantle appliances and toys to discover the secrets of their internal workings. Her parents, both teachers, encouraged her passion for science and technology. They realized that Beatrice possessed an exceptional analytical mind and a natural ability to solve complex problems. Throughout high school, she excelled in mathematics, physics, and chemistry, consistently earning the top grades in her class. The entrance exam for mechanical engineering at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology represented the first major academic challenge of her life. Beatrice prepared intensively for months, dedicating daily hours to studying subjects that required logical reasoning and advanced technical knowledge. Her acceptance as third overall was a source of pride for her entire family. Her years at university were transformative for Beatrice. She fell in love with the mathematical elegance that governed the functioning of engines, the precision required in the design of mechanical systems, and the satisfaction of solving problems that seemed impossible. Her professors quickly recognized her exceptional talent and encouraged her to pursue an academic career. During her studies, Beatrice participated in innovative research projects on energy efficiency and sustainability in automotive systems. She published articles in specialized journals and presented papers at national and international conferences. Her dissertation on internal combustion engine optimization received accolades from the examining committee. After graduation, Beatrice was hired by one of the country's largest automakers, where she worked on the development of new vehicle models. She led a team of experienced engineers and was recognized for her ability to find creative solutions to complex technical problems. Her salary allowed for a comfortable standard of living and promising professional prospects. However, during these years of professional success, Beatrice began to question the greater purpose of her existence. She realized that, despite material achievements, She felt a spiritual emptiness that work could not fill. The competitiveness of the corporate environment and the constant pressure for results began to weigh on her conscience. The moment of transformation arrived during a particularly challenging project when Beatrice realized she was sacrificing her personal values for professional success. She began attending a Catholic church near her work, initially seeking only moments of peace and reflection amidst the hectic routine. Conversations with the local priest and contact with religious sisters working on social projects awakened in Beatrice a growing interest in a life of service to others. She began participating in volunteer work in underprivileged communities, where she applied her technical knowledge to solve practical problems for needy families. The decision to abandon her career to follow a religious vocation was not made impulsively. Beatrice spent months in prayer and reflection, consulting spiritual advisors, and carefully evaluating the implications of her choice. She knew she was renouncing financial security and professional recognition in favor of a life of simplicity and dedication. Her parents and friends tried to dissuade her from the decision, arguing that she was wasting years of study and a brilliant career. They couldn't understand how someone with so much intellectual potential and excellent financial prospects could voluntarily choose a life of material deprivation. Beatrice explained that her choice did not represent an escape from the challenges of modern life, but rather a search for a greater purpose that transcended material success. She believed that her technical knowledge could be used more significantly in service to those less fortunate in society. The process of adapting to religious life was gradual and challenging. Beatrice needed to learn to balance her rational and scientific training with the spiritual and contemplative dimensions of monastic life. She discovered that the intellectual discipline developed during her engineering studies was perfectly compatible with the pursuit of spiritual wisdom. Beatrice's entry into the Carmelite monastery in Boston marked the beginning of a new phase in her life. The Mother Superior, Sister Teresa, was initially surprised when she learned of the new postulant's academic background. It was rare to receive young women with such advanced university qualifications, especially in the field of engineering. During her first months in the monastery, Beatrice faced the challenge of adapting her mind, accustomed to solving complex technical problems, to the contemplative routine of religious life. The hours dedicated to prayer and meditation contrasted drastically with the bustling and competitive environment she had left behind in the corporate world. The religious community welcomed Beatrice warmly, but some older sisters showed curiosity about her motivations. They questioned whether a person with so many opportunities in the secular world would truly be able to adapt to the demands of monastic life, which required significant renunciations and obedience to religious vows. Mother Superior Teresa realized that Beatrice's technical knowledge could be extremely valuable to the community and to the social work carried out by the monastery. She encouraged the new sister not to completely abandon her talents, but to find ways to use them in Christian service to the most needy. Beatrice began applying her engineering knowledge to infrastructure improvement projects within the monastery itself. She optimized the heating system in the dormitories, improved the energy efficiency of the communal kitchen, and resolved humidity problems affecting the institution's historic library. News of Sister Beatrice's technical skills spread quickly through the local community. Needy families began to seek out the monastery when they faced problems with household appliances or small repairs they couldn't afford. She never refused a request for help, regardless of the complexity of the problem presented. Her volunteer work ranged from repairing stoves and refrigerators in humble homes to maintaining medical equipment in community health clinics in underprivileged neighborhoods. Beatrice found deep satisfaction in using her knowledge to directly improve the quality of life for the most vulnerable people. The Mother Superior was impressed by Sister Beatrice's ability to reconcile her spiritual life with technical service to the community. She realized that the young sister's scientific training, far from being an obstacle to religious life, had become a powerful instrument of evangelization through works of mercy. During community meetings, Sister Beatrice shared reflections on how she had found God through science and technology. She explained that the complexity and precision of natural and mechanical systems revealed the divine wisdom present in creation. Her words deeply touched her sisters in the community. The adaptation to the material privations of monastic life was gradual but significant. Beatrice learned to value simplicity and find joy in small acts of service. She discovered that happiness did not depend on material possessions or the professional recognition she had achieved in her previous life. Periods of prayer became moments of deep spiritual connection, where Beatrice integrated her scientific understanding of the universe with her religious faith. She developed a unique spirituality that combined reason and faith, science and contemplation, practical action and inner life. Sister Beatrice established a balanced routine between traditional community obligations and her voluntary technical work. She actively participated in the liturgical life of the monastery, kept her prayer and study schedules, and still found time to attend to the constant requests for help. Her reputation as a competent and technically prepared nun spread beyond the limits of the local community. Other religious congregations began to request her consultation for infrastructure and equipment problems. Sister Beatrice always responded to these calls with humility and generosity. Beatrice's spiritual transformation was evident to all who knew her. She had found a unique way to serve God and others, using the talents she had developed in her secular training as instruments of love and Christian charity. Her religious vocation had not diminished her intellectual capacities, but had given them a deeper and more meaningful purpose. Before Edward Miller's broken car, Sister Beatrice adopted a professional demeanor that contrasted drastically with her humble appearance. She requested permission to open the vehicle's hood, explaining that an initial visual inspection would be enough to confirm her preliminary diagnosis of the cooling system problem. Edward initially refused categorically, claiming he would not allow anyone without proper credentials to touch his $200,000 Mercedes. He said he would rather wait for the insurance tow truck to arrive than risk additional damage caused by an inexperienced person. The crowd observing the scene began to subtly pressure the businessman with some comments about his lack of chivalry in refusing help from someone who clearly demonstrated technical knowledge. Social pressure gradually broke Edward's initial resistance, and he finally yielded with obvious reluctance. Sister Beatrice approached the vehicle with precise and confident movements. Her experienced hands quickly located the hood latch and opened it with ease, revealing the complex Mercedes engine. Her body posture subtly shifted, adopting the natural confidence of someone accustomed to working with sophisticated mechanical systems. The nun's first observation was about the excessive engine temperature, which still radiated intense heat even after a few minutes of being stopped. She explained that the overheating had been caused by a failure in the coolant circulation system, visually identifying the points where the problem was most evident. Edward observed Sister Beatrice's every move with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. He tried to find signs of hesitation or uncertainty that would confirm his suspicions about her incompetence, but he was surprised by the confidence and precision of her actions. Her gestures revealed genuine familiarity with automotive components. The nun located the coolant reservoir and pointed to the drastically low fluid level. She explained that the leak had been gradual, probably through a hose with a compromised seal, and that the engine had operated without adequate cooling until it finally completely overheated. With delicate but firm movements, Sister Beatrice inspected the connections of the cooling system hoses. Her experienced hands quickly identified a loose clamp on one of the main hoses, which had allowed constant leakage of the coolant over several days or weeks. Edward was impressed by the speed and precision of the diagnosis. In less than 5 minutes, Sister Beatrice had identified not only the cause of the problem, but also the exact location of the failure. Experienced mechanics often took hours to reach the same result, using expensive and sophisticated diagnostic equipment. Sister Beatrice's technical explanation of the cooling system's operation was detailed and precise. She described how the water pump circulated the coolant through the engine, how the radiator dissipated excessive heat, and how the seal failure had interrupted the entire thermal regulation process. The nun explained that the immediate solution would be to properly tighten the loose clamp and refill the system with coolant. She mentioned that it would be necessary to bleed the air from the system and check for any internal damage caused by prolonged engine overheating. Edward asked where she would get the coolant needed for the repair. Sister Beatrice smiled serenely, and explained that she had noticed a gas station 2 blocks away, where it would certainly be possible to acquire the appropriate fluid for the Mercedes engine type. The confidence demonstrated by Sister Beatrice during the diagnosis began to shake Edward's prejudiced certainties. He realized that all the technical terms she used were precise and appropriate, revealing a knowledge that went far beyond casual conversations or superficial readings about automotive mechanics. The crowd watched fascinated by the gradual transformation of the dynamic between the two characters. The nun had naturally assumed the role of technical expert, while the arrogant businessman became progressively more receptive to her explanations and professional suggestions. With Edward's reluctant permission, Sister Beatrice went to the nearby gas station to acquire the coolant needed for the repair. Her steps were determined and confident, contrasting with the hesitation and nervousness the businessman was beginning to show at the possibility that she really knew what she was doing. During the 15 minutes the nun was absent, Edward watched his Mercedes with a worried expression. Some of the passers-by who remained at the scene began to comment on the impressive demonstration of technical knowledge they had witnessed, making the businessman internally question his hasty judgments. When Sister Beatrice returned carrying the coolant container and some basic tools borrowed from the gas station attendant, Edward felt a growing mix of anxiety and curiosity. He realized he was about to witness something that could completely challenge his convictions about technical competence and social prejudices. The nun began the repair with precise and methodical movements. First, she waited for the engine temperature to decrease to safe levels, explaining the risks of working with still heated cooling systems. Her concern for safety revealed genuine practical experience in automotive maintenance. With a borrowed screwdriver, Sister Beatrice carefully adjusted the loose clamp on the main cooling system hose. Her movements were economical and efficient, without hesitation or unnecessary attempts. Each action demonstrated intimate familiarity with mechanical maintenance procedures. Edward observed every detail of the work with increasing attention. He noticed that Sister Beatrice's hands, though delicate, handled the tools with professional dexterity. There was no nervousness or uncertainty in her gestures, only the natural confidence of someone who had performed similar procedures hundreds of times. The nun explained each step of the process as she worked, transforming the repair into a practical lesson in mechanical engineering. She described the importance of adequate pressure in sealing hoses, the risks of excessive tightening that could damage components, and the need for periodic checking of these connection points. After ensuring the seal was properly repaired, Sister Beatrice began the process of refilling the cooling system. She explained the need to add the fluid gradually, allowing air to be naturally expelled from the system to prevent the formation of bubbles that would compromise circulation efficiency. During the system bleeding procedure, the nun demonstrated advanced knowledge of Mercedes-Benz engine peculiarities. She explained where the specific bleeder valve for that model was located and how to properly carry out the process of eliminating residual air from the cooling system. Edward was impressed when Sister Beatrice mentioned specific technical details of his vehicle's engine that he himself was unaware of. She spoke about the differences between the cooling systems of different generations of Mercedes engines and the improvements implemented over the years to increase efficiency and reliability. The demonstration of technical mastery reached its climax when Sister Beatrice asked Edward to start the engine. She explained that it would be necessary to observe the system's operation in real time to ensure that the repair had been completely effective and that there were no residual leaks. The Mercedes engine immediately sprang to life, running with exemplary smoothness. Sister Beatrice carefully monitored the temperature gauges on the dashboard, explaining the normal operating parameters and how to interpret signs that would indicate potential problems in the future. During the first few minutes of operation, the nun remained attentive to any sign of irregularity. She rechecked all cooling system connections, confirmed there were no leaks, and observed the engine's temperature behavior as it gradually warmed up. The crowd that had followed the entire process began to applaud discreetly when it became evident that the repair had been completely successful. The engine ran perfectly, the temperature remained at normal levels, and there were no signs of leaks or other problems. Edward remained silent, observing the dashboard indicators with an expression of growing disbelief. He couldn't fully process the fact that a nun had solved in less than an hour a problem that could have cost hundreds of dollars and several hours at a specialized workshop. Edward's embarrassed silence was broken when he finally understood the magnitude of his error in judgment. The businessman who had spent the last 30 minutes ridiculing and humiliating Sister Beatrice now stood before undeniable evidence of her exceptional technical competence. His Mercedes engine ran perfectly, as if it had never had a problem. The realization of his own ignorance hit Edward like a punch to the gut. He realized he had behaved rudely and prejudicially towards someone who possessed technical knowledge superior to his own. Shame began to color his face as he watched Sister Beatrice calmly organizing the borrowed tools. The passers-by who had witnessed the entire scene began to disperse, but not without first casting disapproving glances at Edward. Some commented in low voices about his lack of manners and how he had mistreated someone who was only trying to help. The businessman felt the weight of these social judgments on his shoulders. Sister Beatrice finished cleaning her hands with a cloth provided by the gas station and approached Edward with the same serenity she had demonstrated throughout the interaction. There was no triumphalism in her expression, nor any sign of satisfaction at having proven her competence, only the inner peace of someone who had performed an act of Christian charity. Edward tried to find words to express his appreciation, but his mind remained confused by the complete turnaround of the situation. He had built his entire self-esteem on the idea of being superior to those around him, especially those he considered socially inferior. Sister Beatrice's demonstration of competence had shaken the foundations of his worldview. The nun noticed Edward's embarrassment and decided to break the silence with kind words. She said she was happy to have been able to help and that she hoped he could make it to his important meeting on time. Her generosity in not mentioning the disrespectful treatment she had received demonstrated a greatness of character that impressed the businessman even more. Edward finally managed to articulate an apology, although his words sounded inadequate, given the magnitude of his previous rudeness. He admitted that he had judged Sister Beatrice based solely on prejudices and acknowledged that she had demonstrated technical knowledge superior to his own. His words revealed a humility forced by the circumstances. Edward's curiosity about Sister Beatrice's background finally found respectful expression. He asked where she had studied engineering, now showing genuine interest in learning about her academic and professional journey. The radical change in his tone of voice evidenced the impact of the experience. Sister Beatrice briefly explained her background at MIT and her professional experience before pursuing her religious vocation. She mentioned that she had worked on automotive development projects and that her technical knowledge continued to be useful in her mission to serve those in need. Edward was impressed to discover that Sister Beatrice had graduated from one of the country's most prestigious engineering schools. He realized that he had tried to humiliate someone with academic qualifications superior to his own, which made his previous behavior even more embarrassing and inappropriate. The revelation about Sister Beatrice's previous career made Edward question his own professional achievements. He realized that his success in the automotive business had been built primarily on family inheritance and social connections, while she had earned her qualifications through genuine academic merit. The businessman began to understand the depth of the sacrifice Sister Beatrice had made by abandoning a promising career to follow her religious vocation. He tried to imagine what it would be like to give up everything he had achieved in the name of higher ideals, but he could not conceive of such generosity. The humility demonstrated by Sister Beatrice throughout the interaction contrasted dramatically with the arrogance Edward had displayed. He realized that a truly competent person did not need to diminish others to feel superior, but could demonstrate their competence through constructive actions and service to others. The remaining crowd observed the evident transformation in Edward's behavior. His body posture shifted from defensive to respectful. His words became more careful, and his facial expression revealed a mixture of shame and growing admiration for the person he had tried to humiliate. The moment of complete revelation arrived when Edward, still processing the magnitude of his error, asked directly about Sister Beatrice's academic qualifications. His voice now carried a respect that was completely absent at the beginning of the interaction, revealing how the practical demonstration of competence had radically transformed his perception. Sister Beatrice simply replied that she had graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, one of the most respected institutions in the country in the technological field. She mentioned that she had completed her course with academic distinction and subsequently worked in automotive systems development at a major national automaker. The nun's words hit Edward like a lightning bolt. MIT was nationally renowned for training the country's best engineers, professionals sought after by the largest companies in the industrial sector. The idea that he had tried to humiliate a graduate of that institution left him completely bewildered. Edward realized that his own business administration degree, obtained from a less prestigious private university, paled in comparison to Sister Beatrice's academic credentials. He had never dedicated himself to the study of engineering itself, building his knowledge of automobiles through practical experience in the family business. The revelation continued when Sister Beatrice mentioned some of the research she had developed during her undergraduate studies, including work on energy efficiency and sustainability in internal combustion engines. Her studies had been published in specialized scientific journals, an academic feat that few professionals achieved. The businessman felt a mixture of admiration and growing embarrassment as he understood the extent of the knowledge Sister Beatrice possessed. She was not just someone with basic notions of mechanics, but an expert trained at the country's most prestigious engineering school, with real experience in developing automotive technologies. Edward asked about her previous professional experience, and Sister Beatrice explained that she had worked on projects developing new vehicle models. She had participated in the creation of innovative systems that were later implemented in commercial production, contributing to significant technological advancements in the national automotive industry. The transformation in Edward's perspective was complete when he understood that he had tried to teach about automobiles to someone who had literally participated in the development of technologies he couldn't even imagine existed. His superficial knowledge as a dealership owner seemed ridiculous compared to Sister Beatrice's technical expertise. Sister Beatrice's humility throughout the revelation impressed Edward even more deeply. She could have mentioned her qualifications at the beginning of the interaction to silence his provocations, but she chose to demonstrate competence through practical actions rather than theoretical credentials. Her approach revealed a wisdom that transcended technical knowledge. Edward began to understand the reasons why Sister Beatrice had insisted so much on helping, even in the face of his humiliations. For someone with her background, diagnosing the Mercedes problem had been trivially simple, similar to an experienced doctor identifying basic symptoms of a common illness. Edward's perception of professional competence was permanently altered by the experience. He realized that he had spent his entire life associating technical knowledge with external appearance and social status, completely ignoring the possibility that true expertise could exist in unexpected places. The crowd still observing the scene witnessed one of the most powerful lessons on prejudice and hasty judgment that many would ever see. Edward's transformation from arrogant to respectful happened before everyone's eyes, serving as a practical example of the dangers of underestimating people based solely on appearances. Sister Beatrice explained that her decision to pursue religious life had not diminished her technical knowledge, but had given her a new perspective on how to use it. She now applied her engineering background to help those in need, finding greater purpose in solving practical problems for underprivileged communities. Edward finally understood that he had witnessed not just a demonstration of technical competence, but an example of how advanced knowledge can be combined with high human values to create a significant positive impact on society. Edward Miller's redemption began with a sincere acknowledgement of his errors and a genuine attempt to repair the damage caused by his prejudiced behavior. He addressed Sister Beatrice with a humility that contrasted drastically with the arrogance he had displayed at the beginning of their interaction, recognizing that he had acted completely inappropriately. The businessman offered a formal apology for all the disrespect he had shown, admitting that his judgments had been based on unfounded prejudices and ignorance. He acknowledged that Sister Beatrice had demonstrated not only superior technical competence, but also a patience and generosity that he himself lacked in similar situations. Edward expressed his gratitude for the repair done on the Mercedes, but went beyond simple practical thanks. He said that the experience had taught him a valuable lesson about the importance of not judging people based solely on external appearances or social standing. His words revealed a genuine transformation in his perspective. The conversation between the two evolved into a respectful dialogue about the different ways to apply technical knowledge in society. Edward was impressed to discover that Sister Beatrice regularly used her engineering background to solve practical problems in underprivileged communities, work that she considered more fulfilling than her previous career. Sister Beatrice explained that her choice of religious life had broadened her understanding of the true purpose of technical knowledge. She discovered that engineering could be a powerful tool for social transformation when applied with altruistic motivation, helping people who would not otherwise have access to specialized technical services. The businessman began to question his own values and professional priorities. He realized that he had spent years focusing exclusively on profit and social prestige, ignoring opportunities to use his knowledge of the automotive sector to contribute positively to his community. The conversation with Sister Beatrice opened his eyes to possibilities he had never considered. Edward offered financial compensation for the work done, but Sister Beatrice politely refused, explaining that she had acted simply out of Christian charity. Her refusal to accept payment impressed the businessman even more, as he was accustomed to a world where all services had a defined price and purely commercial motivations. Edward's transformation deepened as he began to consider practical ways to apply the lessons learned in his professional life. He asked about the social work carried out by the monastery and expressed interest in contributing resources or knowledge to projects that benefited needy communities. Sister Beatrice was positively surprised by Edward's genuine interest in learning about the congregation's social work. She explained about projects involving equipment maintenance in public schools, community health clinics, and the homes of underprivileged families, where her technical training made a real difference in people's lives. The businessman proposed a partnership between his dealership and the monastery to facilitate access to automotive parts and tools needed for the volunteer work. He offered substantial discounts on components and equipment, recognizing that his company could significantly contribute to expanding the reach of the social projects. Edward's proposal demonstrated a fundamental shift in his business mindset. He was discovering that business success could be combined with social responsibility, creating value for society beyond simple financial results. The experience with Sister Beatrice had planted the seed of a new vision for corporate purpose. Sister Beatrice accepted the partnership proposal, but emphasized that any collaboration should be based on values of genuine service and mutual respect. She explained that the monastery's social work did not seek publicity or recognition, but simply aimed to meet the practical needs of the most vulnerable people in society. The meeting concluded with Edward and Sister Beatrice exchanging contact information to develop the proposed partnership. The businessman committed to visiting the monastery to learn more about the social projects and identify specific ways to contribute resources and technical knowledge. Edward's personal transformation was evident to all present. The arrogant and prejudiced man from earlier that afternoon had become a more humble person, conscious of the diversity of talents and knowledge that exist in society. His experience with Sister Beatrice had broken mental barriers he didn't even know he had. As he drove to his business meeting, Edward reflected on how a simple mechanical problem had transformed into the most educational experience of his adult life. He understood that true wisdom resided not just in technical knowledge or financial success, but in the ability to recognize and value the exceptional qualities of people, regardless of their social standing or external appearance. Weeks after the transformative encounter, Edward Miller implemented significant changes in his company and personal life. The partnership with the monastery flourished, providing automotive tools and parts for dozens of needy families. His dealership began allocating a percentage of its profits to social projects, creating a business model that combined commercial success with social responsibility. Sister Beatrice continued her quiet work as a missionary engineer, now with expanded resources, thanks to the established collaboration. She never sought public recognition for her technical competencies, maintaining her focus on serving those most in need of practical help and specialized knowledge. Edward learned that competence and wisdom can be found in the most unexpected places, hidden behind appearances that challenge our prejudices. He discovered that true nobility resides not in wealth or social standing, but in the willingness to use our talents to uplift others and build a more just society. The story of a broken car became a powerful lesson about humility, recognizing human worth, and the transformative capacity of altruistic service. Sister Beatrice proved that technical knowledge and spirituality can coexist harmoniously, creating lasting positive impact. The casual encounter changed 2 lives forever. Edward found a greater purpose for his material success, while Sister Beatrice gained an unexpected partner in her mission to use engineering as an instrument of charity. Both learned that the greatest transformations often arise from the most improbable encounters, when willing hearts open to recognize the unique dignity and worth of each person.